Hello everyone. In this video we're going to discuss two topics here. Number one is going to be a small introduction into VBA or macros for Microsoft Excel. And number two, we'll be showing how to save a workbook that has a macro, because you do need to save your file as a special file type so that macros can be executed the next time the file is opened. So number one, Microsoft Excel does have a Visual Basic environment integrated into it. Microsoft did integrate Visual Basic into Excel 2003 and later. May have been in earlier versions, but at least 2003 and on, I'm more familiar with. Now, in Microsoft Excel 2007 and later, you'll see it in the Developers tab ribbon. You may have heard the acronym VBA, which stands for Visual Basic for Applications. By now, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel without macros and Visual Basic, I mean, you can do many tasks such as budgeting, financing, forecasting, maybe you're reviewing trends and data, developing charts, and the list can go on and on. Now, macros and the VBA environment take things to a whole new level. With Visual Basic integrated into Microsoft Excel, you can create coding and do macros to perform tasks for you. Now, if you're not familiar with the Visual Basic environment, this is what it looks like with the one that's integrated into Microsoft Excel 2007. You have a lot of functionality similar to the regular Visual Basic that's used for programming. You can have user forms. You have modules. You can create your own procedures, create your own macros. And I'll give one demonstration of a very simple macro before we proceed. So first off, I have the Developers tab already set up here in Microsoft Excel. I'm going to just insert an ActiveX command button. That way we can put a button into our worksheet. And I'm going to use cell B3. I'm going to put a number in here. Just put the number 0. And all I'm going to do is just create a macro to get this cell right here and add a value, and I'm going to just create a loop where we'll just do +1 as an example. So we'll see the number count from, I'll do 0 to 100. So right now we're in design mode. I'm going to double click the command button, and we're using sheet 1 cell B3. So I'm going to do sheet 1 dot range, and I said it was B3. And I'm going to put equals, and I'm going to put to the sheet. I'm going to copy and paste it, the same cell, dot value +1. And I'm going to do a for statement. This is for loop. I'm going to do 1 to 100. So I'm going to go on and execute this code. I'm going to first take us out of design mode, and we should see this number count up here, and it count up to 100. Now, if that was too quick, I'm just going to boost that up to 2000. That way you can see this, and it's going to start with the same value, 100, and then we see it count up. Now, this is just a very simple macro. The main purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to save a worksheet so that it does have macros enabled. And in later videos, if you want to review some of my other videos, there will be other examples of more complex macros. So I'm going to go on and save this workbook. Now, I haven't saved it yet, but there's going to be a couple of ways that you can save it so that you can have macros within this workbook. Because if we were to save it as an XLSX file and we just save it, we will get a notification from Microsoft Excel that the following features cannot be saved in a macro-free workbook, and it says a VB project. To continue saving as a macro-free workbook, click yes, but we don't want that. We want to be able to use macros in this workbook. We want users to be able to use it. So we're going to go on and select no. Some of the file types that you can select: Excel macro enabled workbook. You can use this one, or my personal favorite is the Excel binary workbook. The Excel binary workbook is only available in 2007 and later. This version is not compatible with 2003. And what a binary workbook does, it actually has an internal compression so that the file becomes smaller. A lot of times when you're working with pivot tables or files that are extremely large that have a lot of data, it's better to use a binary workbook because it compresses the file into a smaller size. That way you might be able to email it to a client or an employee, or save it into some kind of network drive where space may be limited. The binary workbook would be the best choice, but either one of these files would work. I'm going to do the Excel binary workbook and save it as book 2. So I'm going to go on and close this out. If we were to reopen it, we will have the option of using this button again. And there you have it. Now, my macro security is already set up to enable all macros, which is really not recommended because potentially dangerous code can be run, but I'm only opening workbooks that have my code in it. I mean, I would recommend, if you're going to be working with macros and workbooks that may have macros, I would disable all macros, but with notification. Because doing that, let me close out this workbook and reopen it. Now that I have that one set up, you will get a Microsoft Excel security notice that's asking if you want to enable macros or disable macros. And in this case, because it is our own code, we can enable the macros because we know the code is safe. That concludes this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.